Hey everybody, it's Shizug and welcome back to Deadlock in 2025. Valve has been gracious enough to gift us 4 new heroes in the main playable game mode. We have Calico, Holliday, the Magnificent Sinclair, and Vyper. Some of these are some Hero Lab iterations of heroes that we've seen in the past, but some of them have some really cool new spells that are kind of experimental and neat. So we're going to look at each of these 4 heroes and we're going to go over their abilities and what these guys can do. The Valve team noted that expanding their roster is one of the major goals in 2025. So some of these heroes, like Calico and Holliday, have really nice art, but their eventual goal is to just get more and more heroes in the game and expand that pool of playable characters. Our first hero that we're going to take a look at is Calico. Calico's weapon is a rapid firing shotgun that has a pretty tight cone on it. Her first ability is Gloom Bombs. It has a 10-second cooldown, and you throw a cluster of bombs that detonate after a delay, dealing spirit damage. The low cooldown on Gloom Bombs is going to allow you to spam this in lane really often, going from 10 seconds down to even 7 with 2 points in it, and it's going to be dealing 80 damage per bomb. That is going to be a lot of damage in lane, and you should definitely capitalize on it. Next, we have Leaping Slash. You leap forward while slashing all enemies in a circle, dealing light melee damage. If the ability hits at least one target, you heal a small amount of health. To me, this sounds like it could be a good fighting tool that's going to also scale with your light melee damage. And what you can do is you can actually probably farm camps with it as well, using that circle that pops up. So this is a really nice tool for farming and then also catching up to opponents that might be running away from your initial barrage. Leaping Slash is also on a low cooldown. Could be a very nice tool in lane. This hero is going to be very active with their spells. Next, we have Ava. On a 50-second cooldown, you're going to turn to shadows and possess Ava. You gain movement speed and become hidden on the minimap, but you cannot attack or cast abilities. You get a 75% movement speed boost and a 20% buff duration. And then this buff duration can also scale up to an additional 20% with the first level. So this can allow you to kind of be this ganker, but you'll be seen by people physically. You can, like, if they have a line of sight on you, they're going to be able to see you, but you're not going to appear on the minimap, which is a large portion of how we get information in this game. So this is going to allow you to make movements on the map quietly and secretly while also retaining move speed bonus. It's going to allow for really nice early rotations where you can pop off the minimap. Even if you're getting to lane on the side, it's not going to appear on the minimap, and it's going to be a really good tool to start a fight. Also note, it cannot be used for 5 seconds after taking damage from an enemy hero. So you're going to not be able to cast this immediately. It's not going to be an escape tool, but rather it's going to be a positioning tool to, as they say in Calico's headline, you're going to wreak havoc from the sidelines. So it's going to allow you to get that positional advantage and make the most of it. And lastly, we have Return to the Shadows, an 80-second cooldown, so pretty short for an ultimate. You're going to instantly turn to shadows and become untargetable, gaining movement speed and dealing spirit damage. After 3 seconds, you're going to return from the shadows, dealing spirit damage again. One of the biggest things that I see on this spell is the tier 5 upgrade, where you're going to reset all your cooldowns and gain a 30% damage amp for 5 seconds. So what you can do with this hero is if you max out your ult, you can Ava in, you can be off the minimap, you can cast your 2, start a fight, use your spells, start it again, return to shadows. This is going to reset your cooldowns, and then you start your combo again. And that's going to be a large portion of damage. You're going to be this kind of assassin-y type of hero, especially with a shotgun type of weapon. And then also, you're probably going to want to mix in some melee attacks into there. Given that you scale with light melee damage, it's going to be helpful to have that as well. Holliday is the next hero that we're going to look at. She bounces about, dispensing trick shots. Holliday has a pretty unique set of spells that really aid movement-based play and kind of good understanding of mechanics around movement, and then additionally, good aim. So first off, Powder Keg. You can throw an explosive barrel that arms after a delay, and once armed, the barrel can be shot, meleeed, launched, or detonated by another barrel to explode, and that's going to deal spirit damage. Note that this spell has a pretty long cooldown. It's 32 seconds, so this is going to be pretty hard to make use of in lane, but the damage potential is pretty huge there. And then it also synergizes with Holliday's second spell, Bounce Pad. So you can drop a bounce pad in the world that launches any hero. So if you remember our old vents, it has the same kind of mechanic as those, and you can put it wherever you want. And then also when you land, you're going to deal some damage where you land. You're going to deal stomp damage. And that's going to be to any nearby enemies, and that explosion can only occur once per bounce pad. Something also to note is that you get 100% air control in the air. And if you're familiar with other Valve games on the Source engine, you're going to be very familiar with Holliday's movement type. So what that 100% air control really means is if you're dropping off of something, you don't get a lot of sideways strafing capability while using it. But if you go off of a bounce pad, you have very Valve-like, Source-like movement where you can strafe in the air. So note how I can strafe A and D. I can rotate more in the air and give myself more control using it. So this hero has a lot of potential for movement-based tech, and it's going to really reward highly skilled gameplay with your bouncing powder keg and being able to shoot it at the same time, and then also utilizing the movement tech of air strafing as well. Next, we have Crackshot. So headshots are going to deal bonus damage on a cooldown, and it's going to also apply a fading slow. So what this actually means is that in lane, your headshots are going to deal 75% extra damage. And note that this damage occurs at any range too. So even back here, we just did our extra 75% damage on top of what we just did. So this is a very, very punishing laning mechanic where you can get extra poke with, say, a headshot booster. You're already going to be playing for those headshots, and then you can do a lot of harassing damage. I played against a Hero Lab version of Holliday, and she absolutely just maxed this out and was like, yeah, this hero is not fair. And I assume Valve has scaled it, but it felt really nice, not to play against, but to play with as that player. And then lastly, we have Spirit Lasso. This is a very similar spell to Dota's Bat Rider, where you essentially lasso a target and then can move them wherever you would like. So what that looks like is this, and then you can carry a target, bring them wherever you want, but notably, it also synergizes with your bounce pad. So you can lasso someone, bounce pad, and bring them with you. So this is going to allow you to misposition heroes here and there, and it's going to allow you to get easier picks. You're going to be the hero that starts fights, and overall, you're a large piece of utility in team fights to begin it and dish out damage and style on people, essentially. Note also, the cast range is pretty large here. You can actually get people from pretty far away and start fights by even doing that. You don't need to be on top of them with some kind of majestic leap or anything like that. You don't need a warp stone to really grab someone with that spell, so that's going to be a nice utility spell. Next, we have the Magnificent Sinclair, which that name is going to be verbose. I'm going to start calling him just Sinclair. This guy, his name was Magician before in Hero Labs. You might recognize him, but he has a new spell that we can look at. He's going to misdirect and hex enemies. So first off, something that's really notable about Sinclair is his projectile is really slow, and it can make it really difficult to hit moving targets from far away. So he's not really going to be a gun build type of hero, or if he is, like, you really need to understand your fall off range. Like, I'm really trying to hit this guy right now. But it's much more difficult to hit shots with his slow projectile speed. We're going to start off with the Vexing Bolt. It has a 15-second cooldown, and it also is a charge-based ability. So you're going to fire a bolt of magic that's going to deal spirit damage and apply a fire rate slow. And then if you have an assistant, they can also cast Vexing Bolt at a reduced range. Something unique about Vexing Bolt is that if you press the casting button, so 1, I'm using mouse 5 in this case, you can actually redirect the bolt towards your crosshair after you cast it. So say there's someone playing in cover, like say there's a wall right here, you can Vexing Bolt up and then bring it down on top of them, like a magic missile type of thing, where you can redirect where it goes after the fact. And then let's get to that part where we're talking about the assistant. The Spectral Assistant is an assistant at the targeted location, and the assistant attacks wherever you fire your weapon. So here's my assistant. It's also firing where I fire. So if I'm hitting this target, it's going to also attack it as well. The assistant can also cast Vexing Bolt, and it will have that reduced range. It'll have that reduced damage, but Spectral Assistant can be a very good tool to get out extra damage with an extra Vexing Bolt. Something that you can also do with Spectral Assistant is that after you've casted it, use your Vexing Bolt, is you can swap places with it, which is also going to reload your gun. And we're not really building around gun damage, but this might allow you to chase a little bit further. If you, say, have a Spectral Assistant further away, and then you're shooting, and then they're running away, it allows you to blink to it and get more in position, maybe melee, while chasing them as they run away. Next, we have Rabbit Hex. You can hex a target, transforming them into a rabbit for a limited duration. Rabbits are small, they move faster, but they take increased damage, and they're unable to perform most actions. So that's what this looks like. It has a projectile, and then they turn into a rabbit for a short duration. The distance on rabbit is pretty far. You can actually, from pretty far away, cast it on someone and get that pick. That's going to slow them down. You get that extra duration extender. It's going to also synergize with your assistant. Good stuff can happen. So Sinclair's most important spell is audience participation. You get the ability to copy the ultimate of an enemy hero for a limited time. Reactivating the ability will use the copied ultimate instead. You're going to actually be upgrading the copies of the spells. So if the opponent has leveled no points on their ult, you'll be stealing a copy with however many points you've put into it. You steal it for 10 seconds and you get the normal cooldown on a copied spell. So what does this look like in practice? If we have Infernus here, we can copy his ultimate, cast it, we turn to Infernus, we have his ultimate, and then we can stun people around us. And then this works with other heroes, obviously, as well. Here's Dynamo, same situation. We can copy his spell and then use it against him. Really, really cool spell. This is going to have a lot of outplay potential in some of these games. When we get a draft mode, this will be a really good pick into heroes like Dynamo, heroes with these large ultimates that are going to entirely sway the pace of a game. You're going to be able to pick this to counterpick someone with that big ult that you really want to play off of. All right, Editor Shizog here. I was kind of curious, after you copy an ability, do you get the gun of that hero? And the answer is no. You still get the Magician. Anyway, back to our regularly scheduled Deadlock content. Sinclair to me seems like a supporty style hero, given that his gun is not very easy to aim with, and the projectile speed really hurts its potential for dishing out damage, but I could be proven wrong on that front. But I think the ability to hex someone is going to allow other people to set up kills really nicely. And then being able to steal ultimates, it allows you to kind of play this like backline position-based hero that's going to look for their right target and then counter-initiate with an ultimate. And then next we have Vyper. This is my favorite of the four. Vyper has a really unique mechanic that we're going to get into in a second. And Vyper's tagline is Slither in and assassinate enemies. So Vyper's signature spell in my mind is Slither. It kind of dictates the entire way that this hero plays, and what it does is you have increased slide distance, you can slide up hills, and you can turn faster while sliding. What this does is you can obviously slide normally downstairs, but you can turn rapidly and go upstairs as well. This hero is a ton of fun to play. I really enjoy playing Vyper and just playing like a maniac, because remember, we get infinite ammo while we're sliding, so a lot of this hero's gameplay is going to be based on sliding, abusing that infinite ammo, and dishing out damage through it, right? So you can slide, 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 and fire forever. Really cool hero. All right, now getting into the rest of Vyper's abilities. First off, we have Screw Jab Dagger. You're going to throw a dagger, dealing spirit damage and applying a fading slow. So here we go, we can throw it, and it hits pretty quickly. It is not point targeted, so it is a skill shot. Low cooldown for lane, it's going to do a lot of damage if you level it up twice. 6-second cooldown on a 100 damage spell is pretty nice. It's going to be very spammable. And then it also is going to apply that slow as well. It lets you catch up to them when obviously you're sliding at them. You're going to be able to catch them. Next, we have Lethal Venom. 26-second cooldown. You're going to inject a target with Lethal Venom, and after the delay, the Venom triggers, dealing spirit damage. And this actually is based on the target's missing health. It's going to do more damage based on how much health they're missing. So this is kind of like a finisher. You can leave it on someone, turn around after doing your initial combo, you can Venom them, walk away, and then boom, they're going to pop. They're going to take 200 damage in lane. Really good stuff. And then we talked about Slither. Some of the upgrades on it is extra slide distance, more stamina. Note also this hero has 1 extra stamina bar. It's kind of a lot like Ivy in a lot of ways. It shares animations for now, all the temporary art, but getting that extra stamina, it's going to put you up to 6 bars, lots of stamina, and then you can get some bullet resist while sliding and spirit resist. So Vyper's next spell is Petrifying Bola. You're going to throw an explosive bola, and then on exploding, the bola is going to slow and damage all enemies in the area. And then also note, a direct hit is going to deal additional spirit damage and petrify instead. And what does petrify mean? It's going to turn him to stone. So as you can see, I'm moving, it's mimicking me. If I bola the ground, it's going to slow, but if I hit them, it's going to stop them and petrify them. And then note that this also gives them some damage blocks, so you're not going to be able to immediately shoot. Note, I'm going to do 0 damage with my gun while he's petrified, but what it can let you do is position yourself closer to then slide and get the kill after the fact. So that is a nice kind of synergy with it. And then note, at the max level, this is going to petrify all enemies in the area, and then this can scale up additionally with like improved reach and stuff like that. So this could be a pretty solid 2-second stun on a large quantity of people, lets your team get more in position, catch up to these fights, and especially on a hero that's really based on like chasing and running people down, I think having something that's going to stop them, let you position yourself a little bit better, is going to be really nice. So that's it. Those are our new 4 heroes that are in the main game mode of Deadlock. If you want to go play them in normal matchmaking, go for it and go do it. I'm really excited to see where Valve is taking Deadlock in 2025. With the addition of these 4 new heroes into the main mode, I hope that we get this expanded roster where not every game is going to have the same 12 heroes in it, and we're going to see such a wide variety. And that's what makes MOBAs fun, is the absolute sheer choice of heroes and matchups that change in between each game. It really removes kind of the repetitive feel of other hero shooters, is the unique dynamics that can happen through builds and happen through this expanded roster. Getting new heroes like this is what keeps games like this fresh, and I'm really excited to get into matchmaking and try out some of these new heroes and having a lot of fun finding the right builds for them. So let me know down in the comments, who are you most excited to play? For me, it's Vyper. This hero, for me, is a ton of fun. As I said, the sliding mechanic is just so goofy. I like to have fun with it. And yeah, I'm excited to play some Vyper in matchmaking. All right, everybody, have a good one.